Hello, my name is Diane, and today we're going to make a fitted face mask. Pull out your pattern envelope that says Small Adult Mask. Inside there you have two different fabrics that are cut out already, and you have the string for the mask. Put that knit aside because we don't need that yet. This is fabric 1, the one that will be the outside of your mask. This is fabric 2, the piece that will be the inside of your mask. Start with fabric 1. Make sure that the edges are all even. You're going to sew a straight stitch along the curved edge of the fabric. Using a 1/4 inch straight stitch, back stitch, go slowly around the curve so that you are having a straight seam. Back stitch at the end, clip your threads. Because this is a curved seam, we need to clip where the curve is. So to do that, you're just going to clip just almost to the stitching line, but not quite. If you go past the stitching line, it will break open your seam and you'll have a hole there. Now I want you to do the same thing with this piece of fabric. So this seam in a 1/4 inch and make those 4 clips. Once you get both of those done, then pause the video, and once you get both of those done, restart the video. Now you should have both of your curved seams sewn and clipped in 4 places. Now you're ready to iron. You're going to put the straight edge. See how this is straight and this is curved? You want the straight edge up, so away from you, and you're going to put the right side of the fabric down against your ironing board. Push that inside, and what we're doing is we're ironing that seam away from the iron. So I'm pushing, can you see that? I'm pushing that seam, both of those seams, away from the iron. Again, open it up, right side of the fabric down, straight seam, straight edge up. You're going to push that seam away from the iron. So you have the seam pushed away there and the seam pushed away there. Turn fabric 1 right side out, fabric 2 wrong side out. Make sure that your straight edges are both up. Now you're going to lay the seam right on top. So the seam of fabric 2 and the seam of fabric 1 is right together. Now when you do this, this seam is going to be to the right and this seam is going to be to the left. Put a pin right there where that seam is so that that stays. Then come to the curved side and do the exact same thing. This seam is to the right. This seam is to the left. The seams are right on top of each other, lined up really nice and clean. Pin that right on the seam line. And you're going to pin at each, got a needle there. At each corner, put another pin. Making sure that your fabric is nice and even. Okay, starting with the curved side. See how this one is a lot more curved and this one is more straight? Starting with the curved side. So 1/4 of an inch. Take out that pin. Using your presser foot as a guide to do 1/4 of an inch. Back stitch. Slow it down so that you get a nice precise curve. When you come to that center, you can push that inside and it makes it easier to sew. As you come to the pin, take it out. Do not sew over pins, that will break a needle. Every time you move the fabric, you want your needle down into the fabric so that it doesn't go somewhere else. Take out that last pin and back stitch. So I want you to do that with both seams. So you're going to press it, put them together, sew both seams. Now on this curved edge, we're going to just make 2 clips just where it's the most curved, and it's the same concept. Just not quite to the stitching. That way when you turn it, it has more room to turn. Pause the video and finish that to that point and then start the video again. Your mask sewn together, and you should have 2 clips on each side of the seam on the curved edge, but no clips on the uncurved edge. We need to turn the mask in back right side out. So put your thumbs inside and just walk it with your fingers till it comes out the other side. Now we're going to thumb press the seam so that we want the seam, all of the seam allowances toward fabric 1. So I'm just pressing that pretty hard with my thumb. I've got my finger inside and my thumb on the outside, pressing those seams down. And you're going to do that on all of those. So 4 times you're going to press those down. We'll pause the video and come back once you get those done. Now that you have your finger pressing or your thumb pressing done, you're going to work it so that you can't see the fabric 2 on the fabric 1 side, and you can't see the fabric 1 on the fabric 2 side. Press that down so that you've got a really nice crisp press line. Do the same with the top. You don't want to see the other fabric on this side. Once it's nicely pressed, we're going to edge stitch. Now to edge stitch, I put the inside of I put the edge of the fabric right on the inside of my foot, but it really depends on how your own machine. You need to figure out how to get a stitch that is about 1/8 of an inch away from your edge of your fabric. Slow it down when you're coming around this curve so that it's nice and even. Okay, so do all of that. So this seam or edge stitch this side and edge stitch this side and come back. So pause the video now and do that, and then restart when you're ready. Your mask should look like this. You have an edge stitch around this edge and an edge stitch around this edge. These two edges are not stitched. Turn your fabric so that fabric 1, or the right side of your mask, is down, and you're going to work with these smaller sides now. Using your seam gauge, you're going to turn up 5/8 of an inch. So measure, this is the 5/8 inch line right there. And 5/8 inch over here. Now you can see that there's just a little piece peeking out there. Sometimes it's more than that. Usually it's more than that. But right now it's just a little piece. So we're going to bring it back and just fold that little piece in. Iron it down. Careful not to burn your fingers. That's just a little teeny bit on this one. And then press that, give it a good press. Now again on this side, 5/8 of an inch. And this side is poking out, so we're going to push that back. And iron it flat. So you don't have any fabric poking out on the right side of your fabric. Go back to your sewing machine. We're going to do a zigzag stitch, a 3 width and a 1.5 length. Put the right side of fabric 1 down so that you can see this seam that you have. You're going to just edge stitch this. You're going to stitch with a zigzag right on the edge. Boy, that guy just keeps wanting to poke out again. It's just such a little one that it just wants to poke out. Put the inside of your presser foot so that your zigzag stitch is going right along this raw edge of the fabric. Back stitch. Zigzagging right along that edge of the fabric. Zigzag at the end, and then at the end of the fabric that you're sewing onto, and then again at the very end. And then just do the same with the other side. You could pin this down and it would be maybe a little easier for you. So on this side you're starting before the turned over part, back stitch, and make sure you're catching that edge of the turned over part and back stitch there just to make sure that that is good and secure. Come to the end and back stitch. Clip your threads. Now your mask is done. And now we're ready. You should have your zigzag right on the edge of both of those. You should have backstitched here and on the ends, both ends. Now we're ready to put our knit. Give the knit a tug. This helps it kind of roll. You need your safety pin that is in your kit. That should be in your bag. You're going to put your safety pin in, poke it in and then out, and then close your safety pin. With the right side of your mask, with the curved edge up, you're going to start on this side and poke in the pin and just walk that with your finger. When you get to that part where you turn down over that little bit, you might have to wiggle that a little bit to get that through. Then you're going to make a loop, so you're going to come up this and down this side. So you have a loop at the top of your mask and tails at the bottom of your mask. Take out the pin, even up those tails, and then just give it a tug so that you have something on the top. On the bottom strings, you're going to do a square knot. That is left over right, and then right over left. Or actually, any knot would work. Now your mask is done. To wear this mask, you put this part, you take both of your loops, put it over your head, put the top loops above your ear, and pull back the other ones. So this makes it so that you can fit it really nicely. So it's fitting on the side of your face, it fits around your nose and under your chin. And you have a finished mask.